Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Pop and Culture Podcast. I'm Adrian.
I'm Jay.
And with us today, since we had a female with us last week, we have a gentleman.
Well played. Well played.
What do we have, Jay?
So this week we're drinking Gentleman Jack. This is my favorite whiskey. I've been drinking this for 14 years.
Don't do the math on his age with that, kids.
No, you can. I don't care. It's a story. So this is a premium whiskey by Jack Daniel's. What makes this different than their regular whiskey and most other whiskeys out there is it's actually double mellowed. So when they're doing the first pass in the distillery, they charcoal mellow it, and then it distills. It sits for a while, it ages, and then they'll actually take it and pass it through the charcoal mellowing process a second time. No other whiskey does that, the second pass through the charcoal. So what it does is it takes away a little bit of that sting when you're drinking it, makes it a lot smoother, a lot nicer to drink. And it's an all-around good sipping whiskey.
I love Jack Daniel's, so cheers. Very smooth, very nice. And little known fact about Jack Daniel's, that was actually Frank Sinatra's drink of choice.
I did not know
He
that.
called it a gentleman cocktail.
Oh.
It was 2 fingers on the rocks, splash of water. That was it.
Interesting.
Drank them all night long.
That is not known to me before now, so yeah, maybe it is a little
Look up Gentleman Contract, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, so like I said, I've been drinking this for 14 years. I will do the math. I started at 14. I was 14. I was at a family get-together. I had some family moving down to Arizona.
Yep.
So there was a full keg, because that's what families do, right? And my uncles were like, here, try this. And they passed me a bottle of it, and I drank half of the bottle that night.
So, Jay's uncle, thank you for making this fine alcoholic friend of mine that I can share in my debauchery with.
There we go.
Speaking of debauchery, I would like to apologize to you, Jay, our viewing community back home. My wife, I'm sorry. Jay and I lied to everybody. We swore we were going to no longer eat too much food before doing our podcast, and we did real well last week.
Yeah, no, last week I barely ate anything, as I found out after the show.
Yeah, you did really well last week. This week we did not do so well. We ate way too much food.
No. We actually went back to the same place that you and our guest last week had gone.
Yes, that's right.
I had not been there before. Of course, we picked 2 of the heaviest things on the menu.
Oh, man.
The meatloaf sandwich.
Delicious.
It was very good.
Yeah.
And then their baked mac and cheese.
Not so good.
Not so good.
But in true fashion, we had that and a chocolate cake that had 3 pounds of chocolate in it. So we're going to cut this short out of lethargy now and have a nice night, folks. All right. Take care.
Okay.
No?
No.
Oh, no.
We
sorry.
will be rebranding this the glutton culture.
Oh, my God. That means we can eat pizza on the show.
Right?
Oh, we're going to replace TV and movies and comics with just food.
Yeah. Tacos, pizza.
When I want to eat again.
Right?
All right.
Okay.
Let's move on before we get more food.
Okay. All right.
TV. What do you got going, boss?
So TV finished the 2nd season of Californication.
Yep.
Which ends on a kind of a sad note. I won't spoil it, even though it's been out for 6 years. But so we finished that. We said, okay, we're going to take a little bit of break from that. We're going to move and watch a little something else. So we watched the season 3 premiere of Revenge, which did take place a year ago. It's last season.
Okay.
But we haven't watched season 3 yet because it just came on Instant Watch. This is a show that I love. The acting is terrible. It's like soap opera terrible.
Well, hold on. James Franco, award-winning James Franco, did General Hospital.
Yes, he did.
I'm not making a good argument, am I?
No, you're not.
Okay, never mind. Bad acting.
So I don't watch it for the acting. I watch it because it's actually got like a really interesting storyline. For those of you who don't know, the main character, her father got framed for essentially financially supporting terrorists. It was actually the company he worked for, the CEO of the company he worked for, but they pinned it on him. He went to jail, and now she's out to try to destroy everybody that had a hand in that.
Okay.
It happened when she was like 8 or something like that, and she's 20 now, something like that. So she's been able to spend the last decade plotting this, and now it's her going out and going after everybody that had part in framing her dad.
And how is it? Are you enjoying it? I mean, you're season 3.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy it. Like I said, the acting not fantastic, but the storylines are good enough, and the way they execute all the plot points are good enough that you're like, oh dang, I gotta watch another episode.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't have a lot of TV to update you guys on. You know what I'm doing. I'm watching Arrow. I'm watching Supernatural by myself. And I don't have any movies to update you guys on. I'm going to apologize now for being horribly prepped. I'm leaving town tomorrow, so I've kind of been getting everything I need done before I leave town. But I do have a TV discussion I want to have with you.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think how to broach the subject without causing too much laughter from our audience when they hear about your love of Melissa and Joey.
What is wrong with Melissa and Joey?
God. So I tried to watch 3 episodes.
Okay.
And it was bad, man. Like, the jokes were stale. You saw the plots coming a mile away. Nothing. The most amusing thing about that, I can't even think of anything amusing about that, man. Tell me what you love about Melissa Joy. What is about it that I'm not seeing?
Okay, so I grew up watching both Joey Lawrence and Melissa Joan Hart on their respective shows.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, going back before that, Clarissa Explains It All.
Yeah, she did.
She did. I watched Joey Lawrence in, I didn't watch Blossom, but I did watch Brotherly Love.
Oh, with him and the 2 brothers.
Him and Matt and Andy.
Yes.
Loved that show. So I knew both of them. I started watching this show. I expected it to be terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the interaction they have between each other is kind of funny. She's super party girl turned city councilwoman,
Yeah,
but
she's
still,
a politician now.
Still party girl. She still has like that free spirit, whatever.
She wants to be a party girl, but her politics are keeping her at bay.
Right. He's this super anal retentive former finance guy.
Who is their Manny.
There's a whole story between it. He worked for her brother who ended up embezzling money and he got laid off. And
yes.
Again, he was pinned for everything. It all got blamed on him. But yeah, so I just think the interaction between the 2 of them is really funny. That's kind of what keeps me interested. And as the series has progressed, the kids have become much more interesting too.
Okay.
The daughter is funny and cynical and whatever, and the son's kind of just stupid, but he's funny at being stupid.
So I'm 3 episodes in. Do I keep going if I'm not enjoying it? Does it get better, or is it one of those shows where if you don't like it now, you're not going to like it?
I would say give it another 3 episodes. They're 20-minute episodes. You're talking another hour of your time. If at the end of the 6th episode you still are not interested, then it's not going to be for you.
Essentially, like I said before, I'm traveling this weekend, so I'll have a lot of hotel time.
That's true.
My laptop, my tablet, every other source of device I can watch things on. I'll give it a couple more, but man, oof. And with that said, I feel hypocritical now, because I told you earlier why I don't have a movie to review. I'm too ashamed to say exactly why, Jay. Why don't you tell them what I watched instead? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Ended with the word mania.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So you and the wife were going to watch
Noah. We were going to watch Noah.
You were going to watch Noah.
Sure.
But you were bringing it up on screen, and
so I put my flash drive in.
You're like, oh, that's right. This is the flash drive that I have WrestleMania on.
WrestleMania.
And your wife's like, what's that?
Yeah, she was. She was just like, oh. And I'm like, you know what? The intro was hilariously dumb. It's Hulk Hogan, The Rock, and Stone Cold show up, catchphrases galore. They bro hug it out. It was just like horrible melodrama. And she's never seen wrestling. I'm like, oh, well, then you need to watch at least the intro. 20-minute intro's over. And I'm all like, we still got time for Noah. It's early. We had an early dinner. I was going to make some popcorn. We had plenty of time. So then we watched the intro drama scene between Triple H and some kid I don't remember.
The 1, 2, 3 kid? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Early 90s.
Early 90s. Yeah, no. Look, and all the early 90 guys are still in it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it is a throwback.
Right. Yeah.
So then we watched the fight, and she's like, is it always so much silly drama before the fight? I'm like, there are like storylines. Like you said, General Hospital. So it seems like she never watched a full thing of wrestling. We watched all 4 hours of WrestleMania.
Oh, boy.
So Melissa and Joey, I should watch that.
Yeah,
huh?
no, you should.
Okay, hypocrite. Yeah.
Yeah.
This got real awkward real fast.
I did watch a movie of sorts. It was an animated movie.
Oh, poof. was afraid we had to, put a rating on this. Okay, it was an animated movie.
I watched Batman: Mystery of the
Yeah, you
Batwoman,
did.
which is a 75-minute animated movie from I want to say '96.
It was direct to DVD.
Yes, direct to DVD. It spun out of kind of Batman the Animated Series and was a loose sequel to both Mask of the Phantasm and
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Yes.
It was the third one in that series.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It's more of like a mystery, go figure, where somebody appears on the scene in Gotham dressed up like a Bat character. It's not Batgirl, so they're calling her Batwoman. And Bruce Wayne and Batman on both sides are trying to figure out who it is that is wearing the costume and going around actually really causing a lot of damage and injury to people. He's got 3 suspects, and you're trying to figure out who it is. It's really good. It actually kept me guessing. I thought at one point I knew who it was. Turns out I didn't.
They got you.
They did get me. But it was good. I mean, it's one of those. It's the Bruce Timm era. It's like the golden Bruce Timm era of Batman in the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series. That whole 90s run was really a really good period for DC Animated Series.
It was. And ever since then, actually, DC, I don't want to say that they're pioneering the animation movies, but they're really cranking them out much more than Marvel did. Marvel had a very small run.
Yeah.
They did about 6 of them, I think.
Right.
And then they did 4 of the animes. None of them really took off, so they've obviously made a huge franchise in the movie theaters. But DC is continually, about once a month almost now, maybe once every 2 months.
Yeah.
They're putting out brand new animated movies.
It's definitely like every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we just had, I talked about it, I think 2 weeks ago. Assault on Arkham.
Assault on Arkham, thank you.
And then they already have the next one coming out, Aquaman. The Aquaman movie, I think, is coming out in the next week or 2.
Is it the War one or
War of Atlantis or War on Atlantis, something like that.
I can't keep track of them all.
So yeah, it's literally like bang, 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 bang. They're just coming out. So and most of the ones recently have been in decent quality.
Yeah.
There was kind of a lull at one point, but they've definitely picked up the pace. I think once they decided they're going to go more of the dark gritty route, it was easier for them to say, "This is what we're doing. Push it out."
And we talked about it when we talked about Assault on Arkham. When they go dark and gritty, they went dark and gritty. Like Flash Paradox had people getting shot, and you saw the bullet wounds, you saw the entries, you saw the blood. So they're definitely going dark and gritty.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched Mask of Phantasm, watch it. It's awesome. It really is. Like a really well done job. And Phantasm's coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're bringing the character back in Batman Beyond.
Okay.
Which I'm sad is canceled now for the 3rd time. I have hopes that it'll be back really soon.
3.0?
Yeah. It's going to be something soon. Speaking of comic books, let's get on it. We are. I'm not even going to say we're going to try to keep this episode short because I make that promise every week. But we'll do our darnest.
Okay, let's spend 10 minutes telling me what you have.
Okay, let me go through my 10-minute list. That one is actually from last week. I have it because I wanted to get the digital code. For those of you who buy Marvel comics, they come with the free digital edition code. So you can read it on your tablet or here. They did an upgrade to their system 3 weeks ago, and ever since it has been only using half the codes. You have to email them for the other half. It's been a pain in the ass. So, Marvel.
So you obviously recommend that service then?
I did, and I still do because it's still nice you get to carry your library with you wherever you go with Comixology.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's nice. I won't go through everything I have. A couple of big things to hit on. One thing I want to discuss, I was discussing earlier today with a friend of mine, and that is the all-new X-Men are now in the Marvel universe, in the Ultimate universe. And we know that there's a big story arc coming up of Ultimate X-Men versus all-new X-Men. And because of Axis, not Sixus, Axis, it's being swept under the rug. And I'm really surprised because Axis just looks crappy to me, and I'm really looking forward to this war.
Okay.
So that's something to point out. Also, Edge of the Spider-Verse is out. For those of you who are not reading it, just get the Gwen Stacy issue. Really awesome. The story about Gwen Stacy being Spider-Man.
Okay.
So it's from essentially Edge of the Spider-Verse. Yeah, is every Spider-Man.
Okay, so
ever.
This is where they bring in the Spider-Man from every possible
universe, all joining forces. So this is this Gwen Stacy edition. Other highlights. That's really the biggest highlight I have. I know you're going to talk about Future's End, so I'm going to skip that. Haven't read any of the Avengers stuff yet because I just don't want to right now.
Fair enough.
Because it went from story arc to crossover to Axis to World Breaker to this, and I just kind of want to break from the huge events right now.
Okay.
The books I will be reviewing today, however, is going to be Uncanny X-Men. We talked about The Last Will and Charles Xavier before, and now we get into the story of it and Daredevil.
Okay.
And yourself?
So I had a very small week this week. I only have 3 books. I don't know what's going on. I used to get 6 or 7 books a week, and now I go in and it's like it's nothing on the shelf or nothing on in the box.
Maybe go home, YouTube our podcasts, and buy what I suggest. It's really going to open your world up, and you're going to love it.
That would mean buying Marvel.
Not all of the stuff.
Most of yours is Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave up on the House ideas when they ran out of good ideas.
I'm like I said before, I am transitioning away from Marvel. Like as the books are ending, I'm not getting them again.
Right.
Avengers is going to end in 8 months. I'm not coming back on board. I love Iron Man, but even that, I'm like, it looks
You
stupid.
like Superior Iron Man.
Well, I have Superior Spider-Man, back when it was an original idea. But,
Right.
I mean, why not just do the same thing with Iron Man? I mean, we already have
Yeah,
the
sure.
model here. Let's just
Sure,
do it
why
with
not?
Iron Man.
Let's plug and play.
So,
So my 3 books that I did get, Future's End, Supergirl #1, Future's End, Green Lantern, New Guardians #1, and Batman Eternal #25.
okay. Are you going to review them all? Because I want to hear about Batman Eternal.
Yeah, no, I can talk about Batman Eternal. That's fine.
You talked about it last time. I'm holding out for the trade on Batman Eternal. It's
Okay.
52 issues when it's all said and done.
Yes, so next week we will be at our halfway point.
Right. Now, we just learned about Penny 2.
Yes, Penny 2.
What do you got for me?
Oh, I apologize. This week was 24. So we have 2 more issues until the halfway point. So in this issue, in previous issues, we'd seen Batman trying to defeat the Architect, who was trying to destroy a building in downtown. We find out in this issue that Batman hadn't stopped him as well as he thought he had, and there was still some power under the building. They had nowhere to go because they were supposed to use the tuning or the building like a tuning fork. So all this energy was supposed to come up the building. It was supposed to set off these sound waves that essentially destroyed everything. Since Batman stopped that, the power still had to go somewhere. The energy had to go somewhere. So instead of coming up the building, it goes out, causes an earthquake, and destroys most of downtown.
Huh.
At the same time, this issue mostly focused on Spoiler. Spoiler is Stephanie Brown. We found out that her father is Clue Master.
Same as pre-52?
Yes.
Okay.
She now knows that her father's Clue Master.
Okay. So she just found out.
Yes. She
Okay.
found out. She was staying at her mom's house, went to go home to her dad's house, walked in the door, and saw him there in his costume talking to a couple other villains. Well, cat's out of the bag.
Who doesn't have a villain party at their
Right.
home?
No, every Thursday night at my place. No big deal.
Oh, yeah. I'm still trying to think of a better idea than the Architect as my character, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
I'm going as Spot this week.
Oh.
The Spider-Man villain who creates little portals based on the
Yo,
spots.
he was a Daredevil. He was in Daredevil recently.
Okay.
And it was really well done.
Yeah, no, I saw the pages from the Daredevil one. That was really well done. What wasn't well done was when he was on the Spider-Man animated series. That was not good.
Not good.
Anyways, so she knows her dad's the Clue Master. The Clue Master is meeting with his boss. His boss knows that Stephanie Brown knows, so he's like, you need to kill her. I'm going to have a dead Brown one way or another. It's either going to be you or it's going to be her.
Is his boss the Riddler like pre-52?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if the boss is even named. I don't think it is.
So it may be Hush.
No, sorry, it is Hush.
Aha!
You're right. There's a very shadowy picture of him with his bandages. So Hush, that's right. We found out Hush is in charge of everything that's going on. So Hush says it's going to be you or it's going to be your daughter. So they leave. Stephanie Brown was hiding in the rafters during this conversation. So she climbs down and then finds out that her dad didn't really leave. He was there waiting for her. He had given her clues to find him there. So now he's essentially like, I'm going to kill you. So she hops on a motorcycle, takes off. He's chasing her on another motorcycle, throwing bombs at her, trying to get her to stop. At one point, he gets a bomb hooked into the tire of her bike, and it blows up, throws her in the air. She grabs onto like an overhead bridge on the freeway, and she's hanging there. And he's like, "You should come down. I'm gonna kill you." And then cops roll up, and they're like, "Cluemaster, you're under arrest." They don't see her at all. He's like, "I own the cops in this town. Why are you arresting me?" And then they mention, "Oh, you're not in town. You're actually in county limits. The town ended 6 miles back."
Sheriff.
So she was smart enough to get him out of town so that the cops or the county sheriffs would actually arrest him.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it ends. She's just hanging there on the bridge smiling.
Is she in her spoiler costume this whole time?
She is in the spoiler costume.
So he knows she's spoiler.
Well,
I mean, he kind of has to now, right?
Well, she's not. I don't think spoiler's really established as a character.
She's in the costume.
So she's in a costume.
Okay.
Yes, but as far as her being known around the town as
a
spoiler, I don't think that's happened yet. But,
okay.
So I've been kind of down on Batman Eternal mostly recently. This is one where I was like, okay, this is actually a good issue. Something of value is happening.
Something happening. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's coming out every week, just like Future's End, and for 52 weeks. So it's a year long every week. I mean, there's going to be some down issues. I mean, you can't, even as it speaks now, books that come out once a month have down issues. Yeah. So to be weekly, I give a little bit more give on it. Meanwhile, they get a lot more money out of me. So
right. I read the miniseries that ended a couple months called The Wake by Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy.
Yeah.
It was a 10-issue series. The first 5 issues were really good. The next couple, just not so good. So even a book that doesn't even come out monthly but comes out every 2 or 3 months, you can't make every issue amazing.
You can if you're reading Daredevil. No joke.
Okay.
If I had to list the top 3 Marvel books, Daredevil makes that list.
Okay.
Hands down. Ever since Mark Waid took over, it's been phenomenal. In this issue, so actually they relaunched the series when Marvel went Marvel Now. They relaunched it. Same team, same everything else, but they wanted a new sense to it. Daredevil's now in San Francisco.
Right.
He's been outed as the Daredevil. Matt Murdock's identity is known. Because of it, he's been disbarred from the New York. And San Francisco, California was like, we don't care.
We're San Francisco. What's up?
So you got to remember, the X-Men were in San Francisco for a long time because of Utopia. So they are, in the Marvel Universe, San Francisco's known for being hero-friendly, hero-welcoming. So they're like, hey, Murdock, come on down to San Francisco. So he goes to San Francisco. He's establishing himself there. And so this whole series takes place with him there. We're 8 issues in. We just wrapped up his Original Sin tie-in. We found out he finally reconnects with his mother who left him when he was a child. The interesting thing, I think, and I really liked what Mark Waid did with this, is Original Sin, the Watcher gets killed, everyone has his eye, and a secret's released. And everybody in their head just goes, and gets this crazy secret revealed to them. Hulk finds out Tony Stark had something to do with the Gamma Ray, creating the Hulk. You know, this whole last will and testament of Charles Xavier thing.
Right.
Daredevil sees images of the mother, his mother, cowering in fear, holding the baby Matt, with a knife pointed towards his dad. His dad looked like he's about to beat her.
Okay.
So you're like, holy shit. She left because battling Jack Murdock is Ray Rice. Topical.
Oh.
Yeah, I went there.
There it is.
Yep. So he's like, oh my God, my mother left because I had this whole picture of my dad as being the saint and raising me and teaching me all these things about discipline and being a good person. Turns out he's a jackass who beat my mom, and that's why she ran and became a nun. Like, what the what?
I mean, to be fair, what else is a boxer going to do when he faces conflict but punch?
Pop and Culture does not endorse the statements filled by all of our hosts, and we don't encourage punching people. Jay.
What?
You know you don't talk about Fight Club.
It's like the third rule, right?
It's one of the rules. With that said, Matt goes on this huge quest to then reconnect with the mom, to really bring things together. The reason I really like what it was is those were the visions Matt Murdock got. And when we saw it, we were like, Balin Jackson, abusive asshole. Turns out it's not what it really was, though. So I like the fact that Mark Waid was like, yeah, just 'cause I have to make an original sin and sully this person's backstory, joke's on you, I'm not actually going to do that.
Okay.
So we go and we find out, and Matt reconnects with his mom. Turns out she was the one who was going crazy.
Oh.
She had postpartum depression.
Okay.
And back in the day when Matt was born, that wasn't a diagnosed
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So she left because she was afraid she was going to harm Matt when he wasn't there. So Battling wasn't trying to knock out the mom. He was trying to get Matt away from her because she was going crazy.
Got it.
So Battling Jack Murdoch, not an asshole, still a good guy. So I kind of like Mark Waid's subtle to original sin. I'm not changing his backstory. This is who he is, and damn, it's who he's been for 50 years. 50 years, a man without fear. I'm not going to change it now. Good for you, Mark Waid. So essentially, he reconnects. That's why she went to the nunnery, because she went someplace that she thought she was going insane. She didn't know what was going on. It wasn't a diagnosed thing. So she went to the church. She became a nun, kind of got things in order, and then she was so ashamed of herself, she never went and talked to Matt. Great. Beautiful. Original sin tie-in, done well. They didn't change the person's backstory, and it was a good story. Love it. So now mom's back in Matt's life, and that's cute because Matt is a very devout Catholic. Those of you who may have read Kevin Smith's run, he's always had some iconic Catholic background to him. You remember when Electra died, he's holding the tombstone with the big cross and all those other things. Yep. So the mom was a nun, and he knew that, which had a lot to do with Catholicism. And this issue is the first issue after Original Sin, where the Purple Man is back. So
I'm not familiar with the Purple Man.
The Purple Man is a man who's purple.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Just those creative names, you never know.
Yeah, right? I'm sorry, he may be more fuchsia than purple, but I mean, Fuchsia Man just sounds funny. Purple Man, that's the name that strikes fear in the heart of heroes. Anyways, his power is mind control. And he's one of the strongest there is. When he looks at you and says to you to do something, that's it. You're done. You are his.
Okay.
Which is why he's a great villain for Matt Murdock, because Matt's blind.
Right.
So Purple Man's always been a good villain for him. Yeah, in this issue you find out he's getting kind of sick of it. Like, nobody really loves him. He doesn't have any companionship. He also doesn't have any real adversary. He has nothing in his life because everything is just what he wants, he gets.
Right.
So he's decided, well, damn it. You know who's going to give me some adversary? Someone who's really going to challenge me? Kids.
It sounds like a terrible plotline from 1963.
So it turns out he had like 9 illegitimate children.
Well, why not?
On purpose. Because they all have the same power.
Okay.
So his kids, he can't really control them. They can't really control him. So he's like...
So they battle out by playing a game of Foursquare?
No. He's trying to have them be his actual kids. He wants an actual family. The reason he had the kids, though, was so they weren't going to just do whatever he said. So he could actually have an actual family. Okay. It wasn't like, now I have these little minions. It was, I now have somebody who will actually love me for loving me.
I can have a real interaction with them without pushing them.
Right.
Okay.
Turns out it didn't work out so well for him.
Well, of course not.
This issue starts with him getting the last one. So, because he had illegitimate kids, he's now coming back to collect his children, essentially.
Right.
Turns out they work a lot like the Stepford Cuckoos from the X-Men. When they're all together, their power is enhanced. So they control him.
Okay.
To go stand in front of a subway.
Oh.
And he's... So that's where this ends. Turns out
he's... a little bit of grape jelly right there on the track.
Turns out his Concord grape children are worse than he is.
Okay.
And that's where that issue ends. I really enjoyed it. I know it sounds kind of hokey as I explain it. It's been a great job. It's what I love most about Daredevil. You've seen my office. I have a huge Daredevil statue. Stands about this tall. I don't like downtrodden Matt. I don't like, the world's weights are... Like, I don't like the Frank Miller version. I know it was iconic, and it changed who he was. I like that he's happy. He overcomes adversity. Every time something bad happens to him, he finds the inner strength to keep going and not become something evil or downtrodden. You know, he's happy. He's smiling. And I like that Mark Waid has brought back that Matt Murdock.
Okay. And
they even address it. He's like, look, after everything that happened with Shadowland, after everything that happened in my life, you're right. I should be miserable and I should hate the world. but that's not going to give me any benefit. So you know what? I'm going to freaking smile through it. I'm going to try to find some happiness in life. I'm just going to live it. So good for you.
So this is issue 8. Has Wade been writing all 8 issues?
He not only wrote all 8 issues, he also wrote it before it got renumbered for Marvel Now.
Okay.
So this is his second series writing it.
Okay.
So the Daredevil before this, I think it went 26, mid-20s. He wrote all those as well.
Okay.
And you can read all those Daredevil issues and this Daredevil and just be caught up. You don't need to read everything before. They do a great job at filling in the backstory right with those issues.
So if I started with issue 1 of this series,
You'd be fine.
okay, I wouldn't have to read his run before.
Nope.
Okay, because I might. That actually, what you explained actually sounds kind of interesting to me.
It is.
So I may take a dive into Marvel there.
I'd be happy to lend them to you. I will say this, for those of you who decide you want to read some Daredevil, if you don't like it, you can email me at poppingculturepodcast.com and we'll talk. I'm sorry, that is not even that's not even close to an email address.
We don't really want you to know how to contact us.
Sorry.
We're in a nondescript warehouse.
No, we are.
We are.
We actually are. Secondly, we are professionals, and like all professionals, we have a Gmail email.
That's right.
That's what professionals do. It's poppingculturepodcast@gmail.com. Email me, and I'll tell you. If you email me that you've read it and you hate it, I'll send you a Scotty Young variant cover. But you better have a damn good argument for why you didn't like it. I will lend you the issues.
Okay.
For those of you who do read it, you're going to find out that something happened to Froggy, and you don't know what it is. Froggy and Nelson,
Foggy Nelson?
yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to find out something happened to him. Why are you?
Because you called him Froggy.
No, it's Foggy.
You said Froggy twice.
I'm pretty sure not. You know what? If only
Email us, and if he said Froggy, I'll laugh at him next week.
Yeah, that's probably
that's
true.
it. That's about it.
Anyways, you're going to find out something happened to him, and you're like, well, I didn't read what before. I don't know what happened. You didn't before anyways. They explain it as the series goes on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
little forewarning. I spent a lot of time on Daredevil.
It's all right.
Next.
So I'm going to talk about New Guardians, Futures on number 1, because it allows me to make fun of Kyle Rayner, which is one of my favorite things to do. So this issue starts out 5 years later, because that's how this works. You're dropped right in the middle of some planet that is essentially a cult population. And there's one member of the planet who's not part of this cult, but they're trying to get her to convert. She's very resistant. The whole time you're seeing these text boxes where somebody's talking and you don't really know who it is. I mean, if you've paid attention to lettering and design in some previous issues, you do know, but it doesn't really give it away right away. It is a White Lantern that's speaking. So you see these people trying to capture her and force her to convert. She runs, she flees, she finds a spaceship that's taking her away. She realizes that there's another sentient being on this spaceship. They talk a little bit. It's not really anything important. But eventually, the ship takes her to a planet where when she lands, it's a museum to all the Guardians that have fallen. All the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's pictures of them everywhere. As she gets closer to this display in the middle of the museum, that's a skeleton carrying some sort of shield. The shield and a staff jump onto her. They're bright white, so you know that they're some sort of constructs of the White Lantern. And then the skeleton ends up turning into Kyle Rayner, who's got a crazy Jesus look going on.
He does, like,
he's got the long hair and the beard and everything like that. And they're talking, and what you can pick up if you really pay attention to what's going on, they don't outright say this, but Kyle killed the Guardians. He also killed Carol Ferris. Yes, that was my first sigh moment. Is he talked in one of the bubbles about how he loved Carol. Carol was his one true love, and now she's gone. But if you really follow along what's going on, you find out that he's actually the one that killed her, and he killed the Guardians.
But he made a really cool museum to him, so like they're even.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Okay,
it's on the level now.
Whew, I didn't want him to be a bad guy.
Right.
All right.
You find out what happens is he was exposed to something called the life equation.
Yeah. Back after the first Lantern, when he became part of the Source Wall, he was exposed to the life equation.
Right. Essentially, the life equation has driven him crazy.
Okay.
Because when he got exposed to the life creation, he became in touch with all living beings in all of existence. He felt all of it. That's the whole thing with the White Lanterns. You are the lantern of life. You are in tune with all living creatures, everything. And it drove him crazy. And that's what ended up making him kill the Guardians and Carol, because he didn't want them to suffer anymore. He didn't want them to ever have to feel pain or anything like that. So he's like, the only way you can do that is to not be alive.
Oh, that's perfect logic.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, honey, when I get home tonight, don't worry about it. I just want you to be happy forever.
Well, not necessarily be happy, but never be sad. Yeah, okay. So yeah, they get in a big argument and they fight. He's trying to get her to become his successor. Essentially what he says is everybody else has become part of this cult that was on the same cult that was on this planet is all over the place. So everybody else is given in and joined, and they've learned the truth. She's the only one that's ever been able to resist. So he thinks she's special. So he wants her to become the next White Lantern. So he actually, on one of these last pages, takes off the ring and gives it to her. When he does that, he ceases to exist anymore, and she will become the new White Lantern. And that's essentially the story. Nothing super fantastic. To me, that means that Kyle Rayner will eventually go away, which I'm cool with.
You'll never get rid of him.
I know, because they're going to figure out some other power to give him.
Well, sure. He's the White Lantern. He took off the ring. He's now like the eggshell Navajo white. Like he's still gonna be around. Don't worry about this.
He's the color of all those cheap apartments. The thing that bugs me about this entire issue, and this is me being super nitpicky, but I would like think I would like to think that comic books have an editor for a reason. And that editor's job is to, one, make sure that things fit with other continuity.
Before you go anywhere else, I don't edit, so I don't know. Do we have the ability to add an image, like cut out the video, put an image up?
Yeah, okay. I'll overlay this. So
as he's talking, I'm going to take a photo right now with my phone.
Okay,
so he can put this on screen for you guys.
An editor has to make sure that as you're writing your characters, they are staying within what those characters are known to do. That, Superman doesn't all of a sudden go on like a mass murder rage and start like drinking beer and raping. You have to make sure you're not conflicting with any other stories that are going on. The thing that I would also like to assume that they do is make sure that whoever's doing the lettering is spelling things correctly and using correct punctuation. There's a word bubble in here, the fourth from last panel, where there's a period that is meant to be at the end of a sentence, but it's actually after the first word of the next sentence. So like I said, I'll put this picture up so you guys can see it. But what it says is, and I'm going to read this the way it's meant to be, and then I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's supposed to say, you can undo what I have done. You can judge my work. You can judge me. But what they did is, in the sentence where it says, you can judge my work, they didn't put the period after that. They put it after the first word of the next sentence. So it's, you can judge my work. You can judge me. Drives me crazy. My thought is, as the person putting the letters in here, you're doing this, I'm assuming, in either Illustrator or Photoshop or something like that.
Sure.
It's going to tell you that you have
it's
got that stupid little red underline. Yeah. So one, it should have been noticed there. Two, somebody should be reading through these to make sure that, because the number of mistakes I find in comics just astounds me. And I'm I am a grammar Nazi.
So if you guys want your student essays, your college stuff, your high school
I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
Send it to Jay.
I actually, for a long time, considered going to school to be an English teacher. So, but yeah, this bugged the crap out of me. And if that's the most memorable thing to me in this entire book, it wasn't a great book.
The best thing about All the Futures End is the American Dad advertisements on the back. I said it last week. I'll say it this week. All right, my next book, Uncanny X-Men number 26. So, we found out the last will of Charles Xavier. There's this horrible mutant who he mind-wiped. Granted, it's not the first time he did it. As Jay explained, he did it multiple times during the original story. I'm sure it's going to happen again. It's happened throughout the X-Men.
Right.
Everyone gets mind-wiped at some point or another. In fact, For all I know, I maybe mine went.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there we go. Anyway, so we find it out. The thing that bothered me about this, and like Jay talking about things that bothered him, I'm getting really sick of Cyclops being a little bitch. Here's what I mean by that. I love Cyclops. I've always liked Cyclops. Like pre-Claremont, when he had like the cool yellow and like even when he had the stupid like head covering, like
So before the Jim Lee redesign.
yeah. Even when he was called Slim, because he was like slim and scrawny.
Summers, yeah.
Loved him. I don't like this new. I don't like the way Bendis is doing it. He's mopey, he's emo, he's whiny.
Is he still Racer X, or have they changed his costume?
No, he's still Racer, and I'm fine with the race because the Racer X costume actually makes sense. There's a reason he has the Racer X costume.
Okay.
Do you not know this?
I don't.
So after he lost the Phoenix 5 power, everyone who had the Phoenix 5, Namor, Magneto, Emma, Cyclops, and Colossus, they can no longer control their mutant powers properly.
Oh, okay.
So his eye beams don't come out beams anymore. They're just like wonky.
Oh.
So the reason they're in that X shape is so when they shoot, it just points them all into that point and shoots it out.
Okay.
That's why he has the Racer X look. That's why Magneto is no longer as powerful as he used to be.
Right.
Colossus can no longer change to metal at will. He has to have something that assists him with it.
Okay.
So they're all trying to get back to their powers. But it just starts off, like if you look at it, it starts off with just him storming out of the Jean Grey school, refusing to do Last Will of Testament, everyone trying to explain why, Cyclops, you have to do this, why, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on for like, 4 pages of him boo-hooing. Bendis, knock it off. Just stop. Greg Rucka is writing a more manly Cyclops as a kid than you're writing as this damn adult. So it's getting really frustrating because I like Cyclops. On the flip side, it's gone on for 26 issues. I'm kind of over it at this point. The rest of the issues, just whatever. They find this mutant. He reveals his power. In the very end, we see Beast locating him with Cerebro. And what's he say? He's more powerful than any mutant we've ever seen before. He's more than an Omega. Charles was right. This is the one we may not come back from. But you know they're going to come back from.
They're going to have a 6-issue storyline of them finding him, fighting him, beating him, and him becoming part of the school.
More or less, yeah. That's pretty much what it's going to be. So we do know that Marvel just put out their January, December solicitations.
I think December.
And they're still in the middle of this storyline. So I have to look for that to look forward to. And you guys have to look forward to me complaining and bitching. Oh my God, I just became Cyclops by complaining and bitching. Well, there it is. Full circle. Simba was right. That's the circle of life right there.
So, and I used to be, I think I talked about this in our first episode, I used to be a huge X-Men fan.
Yeah.
That's all I read for 6 years is X-Men titles. And I got everything X-Men. I got Uncanny X-Men.
Yep.
I got X-Men. Yep. I got X-Factor. I got Excalibur. I got Exiles. I got I was getting like 12 X-Men books a month. And then I discovered DC and I'm like, oh, this is what good comics are like.
Here's what I don't get. Bendis writes 2 X books. Uncanny and All New. How can one be so fucking good and one so bad?
One's a Ghost Rider.
Oh. So Kelly Sue DeConnick's doing this one? Jay, your next book.
Oh, so the last book I read, actually, and I'll go ahead and complain about this one, too, because that's what we do. Future's End, Supergirl #1.
Okay.
You look like you were going to say something. Or
Remember
were you
what-
going to agree?
Remember when we used to talk about how much we loved the good comics?
I love the good comics. I just didn't get any of them this week.
Fair enough.
When I get my next issue of Lazarus or Alex and Ada or, God forbid, Jupiter's Legacy issue 4 ever comes out.
Well, isn't Alex and Ada behind too?
No, it's a 5-week rotation for
Okay.
them. No, that's Lazarus. Maybe Alex and
I
Ada.
think it's behind.
Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see what
We'll figure it out.
We'll see what
Something
comes out
about
next week.
Supergirl.
Anyway, Supergirl. For those of you that have been reading the Supergirl series so far, you remember we've seen Cyborg Superman already.
Who is?
Who is, dun dun dun, her father. It is Zor-El. Right? No. Which one's her father?
Zor-El.
Is Zor-El her father?
No.
Yes, because Jor-El is Clark's father.
Is you sure it's Zor-El? I don't know my Supergirl lore too well. So
Yes, it's
Melinda, text me. You
it's-
know.
It's,
Hold on. Let's wait
it's
for her to.
Zor-El.
Shit, we're not live. Go ahead.
Damn it. No, it's Zor-El. I'm like 99% sure. Zor-El. So Zor-El is Cyborg Superman. We found that out about 10 issues ago. So in this issue, we jump 5 years into the future, and all of a sudden, she's also a cyborg. And
Sure. Why not?
yeah, no. It's revealed that Brainiac is the one that converted Zor-El into Cyborg Superman. He also captured Kara and converted her into Cyborg Supergirl.
He is the big baddie in Future Sense. So,
Yes.
okay. I'm on board with that.
So they call each other Herald 1 and Herald 2. They don't call each other Cyborg Superman for obvious reasons, because that'd be dumb. So they are the Heralds of Brainiac. So they are going around and they're trying to find a place where they can recreate Krypton. I know. It's been done.
Yeah.
Many
Galactus,
times.
Heralds,
Yeah.
Surfer, planets.
Exactly. So, anyways, they come back to the planet Earth, which both of them have spent time on. They both hate it because they both felt persecuted on it.
Okay.
But they decided, we're going to come back here, and this is going to be, this civilization is the closest physiological civilization to Kryptonians.
Yeah, that's why Clark got sent there as a little boy.
Right.
Like, duh.
So it'll be easiest for them to reestablish Krypton there.
Hold on. I may just be nitpicking here, but that's a fool's errand. Like, they already did the work for you. You knew that was the closest planet to Krypton. Why are you going to try to go find something else?
Yeah. I think it's because they're trying to find somewhere with less resistance. So anyways, they land in Wichita because that's where Kryptonians go when they come to Earth, is Kansas. Yeah. It's like there's a big X there that we can't see because we don't have the X-ray vision.
I'm not at all arguing this point.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board.
Okay, so they land there, and the people are kind of accepting of them at first, and then there's a scientist that we've seen a few times before, whose name I cannot remember. Shea Veritas. Shea Veritas. So we're bringing Veritas from Smallville into the comics now. No. Anyways, so she sees that they're there, alerts one of her agents and says, go find them. This guy goes and is trying to stop them, is yelling out Kara her name, saying, hey, Kara, stop. And she's like, how do you know my name? Takes down the plane he's flying in, and when it lands, there's some guy I've never heard of. I don't know if we've supposed to have heard of him before, or if this is something that they're saying they're going to explore between now and 5 years from now. But apparently she was part of some team called the Wanderers. And the Wanderers were the top specimen of a bunch of different species that went around and protected the galaxy.
He does look
At first I
kind of
thought it was
familiar.
Mon-El with long hair.
No, because mine always has the two huge buttons that hold his.
That's true.
shape.
So this guy's name is...
No,
It says somewhere in here. Anyways, so like I said, they were part of the Wanderers. It's Adam Blake, Captain Comet.
yeah, that's totally familiar. Where do I know that from?
I don't know.
I'll
Is that a
remember.
pre-52 thing?
No, I'll remember.
Okay, so
and
you
then-
think on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So this is Adam Blake, Captain Comet, and he's telling her, Captain Comet, he's telling her that they used to be part of the Wanderers together. They'd go around with these other people and stop evil, essentially, and that they were more than just teammates. They were, in fact, lovers. So she's trying to remember this. After a little bit, she snaps out of it and remembers, and then realizes that she's been horribly disfigured by Cyborg Superman and Brainiac. So she starts resisting it. Cyborg Superman keeps trying to get her to be like, no, you need to finish the objective. We're here to rebuild Krypton, I've made you perfect. And then she's like, if this is perfect, I don't want to be perfect. At one point, let me see if I can find the page. She rips off her cyborg arm and throws it at Cyborg Superman.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. And pretty much resists him, rips off all the cyborg parts, beats him up, tries to get him out of there, and then the rest of the Wanderers show up,
Okay.
and it looks like it's going to be a fight, but Cyborg Superman leaves, and then the last page is her kissing this Captain Comet.
Okay, so all things considered, from what you've just told me, and every Futures End tie-in I've read, this one sounds to be the least bad of them all.
No, this is, out of all the ones I've read, this is the one that I actually enjoy the most. Because this isn't we're going to throw in some weird stuff and whatever and make it impossible or make it dumb. this is actually like something's been going on with her for the last 5 years. She's been part of this Wanderers team. She's got experimented on, and it's actually like a story that I might be interested in figuring out how it gets to that point.
There you go.
So they got one right, and it's the one that most people expected to be terrible because nobody likes this series.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of criticism with her being a Red Lantern.
Right, which I'm a huge Supergirl fan, and I didn't like the Red Lantern thing.
I am a Supergirl fan. When the New 52 launched, I had to make executive decisions about what books to keep and get rid of. This one I got rid of. I fell in love with her when she was in charge of the Legion of Superheroes.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the 8 times.
Whoa, she's only been the book, Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes. Right, yeah. That's only been once. But no, so that I would read. Okay. All right. And we do find out after Future's End is over in another 32 weeks, starts the Blood Moon, so it goes right into another series.
Shocking.
Here, again, is one thing I will give kudos to DC. All these, aside from these 1 month tie-ins, it all takes place somewhere else. You don't want to buy it, don't buy it. It doesn't affect the rest of your books.
Good. That's what I wish had happened this month.
I agree. And I get why they did a 1 month where it all ties in. I can give 1 month a year to a crossover. I don't want to give 4 months a year to have 2 months of my book to have another 4 months a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad somebody does because that don't make sense anymore. And with that, I don't know what time it is, but probably long.
Probably.
Jay? Everyone, have a nice night.